What we got for you today is a little tutorial about how we're going to blend this hair unit into this fade already done. The big part of doing a hair unit is blending. It's not, I wouldn't say it's as difficult actually putting on the hair, but when you have to blend it in to a specific style and have that style last a client for up to 3 to 6 months, you're anticipating like 6 months, 6 months, something like that. That's where your work comes in right now, when you're blending it in that first time they get the unit. So we're going to lay the unit back onto his head. Just make sure it's secure. And blending, there's a bunch of techniques. There's a lot of different techniques you can use. Recently, I've been using a lot just straight razor blades. Just not debulking the hair. But you got to be careful because remember, whatever you do, the hair unit will lose hair over time. And you got to make sure that there's still enough hair, there's still enough density to sustain that amount of time that you told the client the hair unit would last for. A lot of whether or not it'll last 6 months or 3 months is dependent on the client. So it's not all your responsibility as the specialist, but when I do my consultations, I try to make sure I understand the lifestyles of my clients so that when I do propose a style or they propose a style, we can go back and forth and figure out if it would be the best style for their intentions to keep the unit for as long as they want to keep it. You see, I lined everything up. Everything's almost done. Right here, we're going to apply a little bit of hair fiber. Not necessary. See, it looks 100% natural. Not necessary, but I want to show you guys the boost hair fiber right there and the magic it does. Very natural finish. And I prefer hair fibers to hair color, or the hair color for units specifically, because the hair fibers provide a texture type of density versus the hair color. It could come across, if you don't apply it properly, it could come across painted. Hair color is amazing though, but I just prefer the texture that the hair fibers provide. Yeah, this thing looks natural. Most of my clients don't, or 95% of my clients don't want a unit that is super dense in the hairline and the outline super crispy. Even the fades being too intense. So a lot of times you won't see me pump out videos where it's these crazy fades with these crazy lineups, because most of my clients just don't want that. You know what I mean? If I had specific models, maybe I could. If I had models, I could do it for sure. But for my clients, 95%, I'm in Montreal, Canada. Even when I go to Toronto, a lot of my clients just want natural like this. They like the space in between the lineup. They want everything to look as natural as possible. There you go. The curls look healthy, bouncy. Look at that. Watch them bounce. Yeah, bouncy. Hairline proper. And this is a very popular style. It's a very popular style. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Round of applause from me. Cheese. www.damps.ca, academy.damps.ca to learn. Let's get it, guys.
25-8, we do this shit, ain't no breaks.
Damps.
So quickly, I just want to run you through what an educated decision would look like if you were going to go get a hair unit versus scalp micropigmentation, which is like the hair tattoo, versus getting a hair transplant. So one of the biggest misconceptions I think people have about those three things, period, is that hair transplant is always the end option. And from my personal experience seeing hair transplants in person and seeing the results, the one thing I can tell you that a lot of people discredit and don't realize is there's no such thing as one hair transplant. You're probably gonna have to go get 2, 3. Okay, and let me break it down like this. So with scalp micropigmentation, which is the hair tattoo, that we do 3 to 4 sessions. Okay, and the reason you do that is because in certain areas the ink might not pick up. So you get the SMP done the first time, you go home, you let it heal, come back a week, 2 weeks later, check to see how it healed, what dots stuck, what dots didn't stick. So the second time you come, what we're doing is we're adding density. So the first session you come in, we space out the dots. Okay, we space them up. They're not too compressed, too tight together. You cannot do SMP in one shot. I mean, there's always a healing process, and you need that 1 to 2 weeks to realize, you need that second session to realize where the ink didn't stick and how much more density you need to add to make it look more like hair. So SMP, you go 1, 2, 3 sessions, fill up the entire head. When you look at somebody's head, I can't remember exactly how many hair follicles there are, but we're looking at like 50 to 100,000, somewhere in that range, in between that range. And that's 50 to 100,000. So for these areas right here in the corners, I could imagine there's like 10 to 20,000 hairs, you know, and just like these spots. So when people lose their hair here, there's 10 to 20,000 hairs. Imagine that. So when people get transplants, a lot of times the donor hair, they're donating, like, so if you take a strip from back here, if you take each individual hair out, they're taking out like under 10,000 hairs. You know what I mean? They're not taking usually more than that. You know what I mean? So imagine taking out 10,000 total, and you're filling it 5 and 5. But realistically, to make this as dense as it is, there's 20,000 hairs there. So you can't take 5,000 and plug it in there and expect it to look like you got a full hairline again. You know what I mean? You're still missing, that's only a fourth of what you had to make it look dense. So with hair transplants, yeah, people think it's like, yo, I go get it done once and that's it. You know what I mean? I pay 5 to 20,000, 30,000 for a hair transplant one time. That's it. I'm good for life. Everything's gonna grow back. But the fact of the matter is, no, it doesn't work like that. Not to mention you may lose more hair, but just filling like these areas up 5 to 10,000, that's not enough. You know what I mean? That's enough. And then take into account also that right now you have only a certain amount of hair that you can donate. Period. You know what I mean? Because not any hair you take out is going to fit in that spot. So if you don't have enough hair to donate after that first session, then you're left with a permanent look that's going to make you look like you're still losing your hair. And that costs you money, right? So for a hair transplant, you got to realize that, and when you go in and you get your consultation, you got to ask how much hair can I donate to my areas of hair loss. And then also realize that, ask them how many sessions they think you'll need. You know what I mean? Ask them how many sessions, because they tell you how much hair they're going to remove and replace in that area. So you gotta kind of do your research on that. So from a hair transplant standpoint, I think it's difficult to bet on right now, because I haven't seen a lot of good ones. There are good ones, but you just got to make sure you're educated when you're going into that world. And a lot of people aren't, just because it looks so much more surgical. When you get into SMP now, SMP is great if you want like that low, very light Caesar baldish kind of look. You know what I mean? Not baldish, but like a 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 type of haircut. Very, 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 very short. For that, it's good. If you get a good artist, it'll look proper. You're good to go. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I know people say it requires the least amount of maintenance. You still gotta shave your head every 1 to 2 days. You know what I mean? You can't have SMP and have your hair growing all over, bushy on the side. It doesn't work with texture. It's a 2D plane. You know what I mean? You're looking at it from 2D, that's it. So you gotta keep your hair short. And I would say you gotta shave it like every 1 to 2 days. Now, for the hair unit, what makes the hair unit so special is, and not just because we do it, like I know how to do SMP too, scalp micropigmentation as well, but what makes it special is you get the exact density that you want. You know what I mean? So you get the exact look. If you had really good hair, you get that with the hair unit, like that. You know what I mean? And you can see why there's so many women that use hair that's not theirs, because it's the #1 way to get those results, those amazing results immediately. So with the hair unit, you get the density, you get the realness, and that's pretty much all you want. You know what I mean? You get the style, and you get a bunch of different styles. That's the crazy thing. So hair unit versus a transplant or SMP. A transplant or SMP, you don't really have the options of a bunch of different styles or different textures, or you know what I mean, or even the ability to experiment with the hair. You know what I mean, whether it's either changing the color, or the style, you know what I mean? So with hair units, you got all that, you know what I mean? And you could change it up pretty frequently if you wanted to. So to me, it's the most real option, you know. But every person can benefit from each one, you know what I mean? Like I've seen certain people that get hair units that for sure scalp micropigmentation might be better, or a transplant may be better, you know what I mean? Based on their budget and what they're willing to spend. But my personal opinion, if I had to rank them right now, and not just because I do hair units more, I'd rank hair unit number one, because even like a lot of people won't think about this either. If you don't like it, you could just take it off. You know what I mean? You could just take it off. I've had people with bad hair tattoos, you know what I mean? And they come get a hair unit, the hair unit doesn't work because their hair tattoo, we're covering up a hair tattoo and we gotta follow the guidelines created by the hair tattoo. And the hair tattoo is so bad that we couldn't apply a unit over it because it would make the hairline too small. You know what I mean? So I had to make some clients actually go and get laser removal to get the hair tattoo removed before we could put a hair unit on their head. The main thing I want you to realize is with SMP, there's 3 sessions, okay? If you're not doing 3 sessions, you shouldn't do it. Your artist should be able to give you 3 sessions. A hair transplant more than likely will take more than 1 session. Unless your hair loss is very minimal, it'll take more than 1 session. They're not gonna pull out enough hair to get that done, you know, until there's 3D printers that can clone your hair. And then that's coming though, that'll be here at some point. So for me, the best option is hair units, Depends on your lifestyle, but I would personally say the best option for most people would be hair units, you know, and the maintenance is the other thing, you know. So with hair units, or with the longer lasting hair units, you gotta do maintenance every 2 weeks to a month. You're looking at, you gotta remove it, clean it, and then put it back on. But after you get that initial application of the hair unit, at that point, the person who put it on for you has set it up so it'll last you 3 to 6 months, you know, so that you have that longevity, you know, that potential. So yeah, there's so much about this. We have a full course, you know, teaching people how to apply, how to source, how to do business, how to consult with hair units. And we're putting together a new course right now. It's going to be a mega course for anybody who's interested. Great opportunity to boost your income. We'll get to that a little bit later, but yeah, academy.damps.ca. Thank you guys for watching. Take cross, make bread.
25-8, we do this shit, ain't no breaks.
Damps.